So I'm Tyler Gillaspie. This is a Globe Swift. It was built in 1946, and Tim asked me to do a little pre-flight, and as we're doing that pre-flight, I'm going to show you a few things unique to the Swift that most airplanes don't have, or it's just older technology that with a new twist, because this is obviously a very modernized version of the Swift, but it was originally built in 1946. So we'll just go through it. It's got a converted engine. It's a 0300 145 horsepower engine, and I just normally check the oil like you would on just an old 172, and of course we flew a little bit earlier, so it's a little messed up. It's a little bit over 8 quarts, and since the engine is on a slant, it does kind of indicate a little bit higher than it really is. So it's okay if it's a little bit above 8. And the fill cap is right here in the top of this cowling. This cowling is a fiberglass cowling, and it's had several modifications on it. It's real slick, countersunk, and you look at it here, it used to have a inlet up front, but they did away with that and made a little cowl flap down here with 2 small openings up there for the inlet, and it keeps the engine just cool enough. We also have 2 sumps down here. They're kind of hard to see, and all it is just little rods that go back underneath the seats, and turns the knob back there to where you can sump your tank. And of course, I dropped it on the ground that time, but you can always get an extra person to help you out with catching that fuel. And if you got long arms like me, you can actually reach and catch your own fuel.
So if you're in California, you could catch the fuel.
Correct.
But in Arizona and Texas, it's okay.
Yeah, it does.
All right.
So here's a speed mod, or a couple speed mods. The stall strip was normally twice its length. It's cut off in half, and maybe picks up half a knot because of that. And also it has smaller wheels and tires, and because of that, we're able to fill in the gaps of these wheel wells, and it's able to speed up a little bit and kind of keep it slick. You know, when you're only burning 7.1 gallons an hour and only going 150 miles an hour, every knot counts. So it's a unique airplane. The gear is really stiff, and but whenever you have a really responsive aircraft, you're able to grease those landings in, and it's not as critical as other airplanes. Mm-hmm. So we're just looking for dents, anything wrong with the leading edge, and maybe smoking rivets or anything out of place. We've got our pitot cover here, and that's our pitot tube. I'll put that back on because we are not going to go fly right now. And also another unique thing about the Swifts is it does have these little slots in front of the ailerons. That helps the aircraft maintain control in slower speeds, and allows a little extra air over those ailerons. The only thing is, normally when you're at an airspeed to where that's actually utilized, the airplane's falling out of the sky anyway, so there is a speed mod that covers that in and smooths that up, and that actually creates a little bit more lift, but you might not have as much aileron control whenever you get slow. This airplane has the rib still. There is a speed mod to where that smooths those out. It does have 2 main spars, and it's kind of open with very few ribs to keep it light. And it's a solid wing, but that other wing that's smooth, it's got a few more ribs in there to keep its rigidity.
And this is the connection?
Correct. And so the main gear, you can't see them because we're behind the wing, but it stays on the inboard side of this line here, and you can actually remove this entire wing, of course, after you take the flap off. There's only 2 bolts that hold that wing on. It makes it for an easy replacement. Originally, the Swift had a cage canopy, 2 sliding windows with a little hatch on top. This has a sliding canopy hatch, and it's another speed mod to make it a little bit slicker, and also it's pretty looking, and so it's another unique factor about this aircraft. So originally they had 2 yokes that came out of the dash. This one has a stick conversion in it, and most Swifts do, but every once in a while you'll see them with yokes, and they still handle just as good with the yokes as they do the stick. The stick is a little bit more, I guess, just based off of pilot preference. The trim wheel used to be up here in this area above your head. To do that sliding canopy conversion, they had to put it in the floorboard, and basically everything else as far as the panel, it's been kept simple. Steam gauges with a little Garmin up there as an aid, but it's a pretty simple cockpit, and for an airplane that built in the 40s, you know, what's wrong with having it simple?
Right.
So it's got 2 seats in it and very small baggage underneath the seat, and then of course behind the seat is you can set stuff up on that deck, and if you got 2 big people in there, you can get to go over max gross.
Okay.
So this aircraft has 2 wings. Originally just had 1 and 2 wing tanks.
Okay, yeah, I was hoping it had 2
This
wings.
one has 2 wings. So the 1 tank it had over here, well, we installed 2, and it cross feeds. Just like the Commander, is really slow to fuel up. But other Swifts, they might have 2 separate fill ports, and then also they may have a baggage tank back here. There are, I think, 3 different links on the fairings that you can put there for your speed mods. And this aircraft has a retractable tail wheel, and not very many Swifts have those. It was a field approval for that tail wheel. And to go back to the pre-flight, we're just looking for any kind of smoking rivets, anything loose, you know, just your standard pre-flight when it comes to checking your bolts, and also just the range of travel. You want to make sure that you don't have any kind of cracking or anything like that.
So the rudder is just a ground adjustable trim tab, I see.
Correct. And so it's a ground adjustable trim tab. The tail wheel is not steerable, and so the airplane, you know, you end up using a little bit more brakes to keep you straight whenever you're taxiing around than your rudder. And the Swift, it originally had a little bit of offset on this tail, and it still does, but I think they took a little bit of that out to make it a little bit faster.
Yeah, looks like it's a little off to the left there.
Yeah, and that's just in most aircraft. A lot of people don't know that is the tail is offset just from
pretty standard
from the prop, but this tail, I think they took out a little bit of that, and also there was a tail ballast back there, and they relocated the battery and took the ballast out. And there's just, like I said, with this aircraft, it's been around for so long, there's a lot of speed mods to help, you know, make it a little bit faster.
So with the offset tail, obviously to offset torque, when you're doing a cruise descent, you got to put a little left rudder pedal in to correct for it.
And that's just kind of normal. And most single engine aircraft, you just kind of have to do that. So the flaps, we'll go ahead and lower them, and just making sure that they hold what they got. They're not torn up or anything like that, and just making sure we got smooth movement. And I don't know if you can get a picture of that. We've got a lot of gap seals on this airplane, and you know, they really tried to make sure there was as little airflow on this aircraft as possible. And yeah, if I'm not mistaken, on the backside in between this wing and flap, there's gap seals all along that as well.
Good.
So kind of underneath the aircraft.
Those are hydraulic flaps.
Hydraulic flaps.
And it's all or nothing.
That's right. One setting or 2 settings, up or down. The wing tips, they've got 2 wing tips for the Swift. Or really, it originally came with 1, but they do also have the Buckaroo wing tips, which are a little bit more squared off, and they fit on the aircraft just like these do. And but they didn't originally come on the Swift. They came on the Buckaroo, which is the military version that Globe had made for
Is there quite a bit of pitching moment when you
it does. And so with this aircraft, it's easy for me. It's just 2 rolls on the wheel, and I'm trimmed for landing. And not very difficult, but it does do a drastic pitch whenever you first put it in, because it's just basically a speed brake at that point. It doesn't create any lift. And I guess that's really it, other than if you look inside the wheel wells. Oh, this one doesn't have it. It's the other one. Has a landing light inside the wheel well.
We did get that.
And it helps you with you know, airspeed, but also being able to see at night. We don't fly this airplane very much at night, but when we do, it's nice to be able to see. So.
Nice. Well, thanks for the pre-flight. Let's go for a flight.
Yeah, let's go.
All right.
That before I landed, I wanted to see 2,700 RPM, and leaned out correctly, and that's what I did. So it almost fits 3 fingers, so I know if I got 2 fingers, I can get good power, full power on takeoff, because I don't want to go full rich at 4,000 feet in this thing.
Yeah.
It'd probably do it, but I don't want to foul out plugs and all that. Stafford traffic, Swift 78204, taxiing out to runway 8. I forgot. His favorite 8.
Whiskey County traffic, RV 99 Whiskey Charlie, 7,400 climbing. This is good.
Dew point 09er Celsius. Altimeter 3011. Remarks.
Well, you're the first person I've ever flown with.
4,600.
Heck, that's common practice where I'm from.
That's how you roll in Texas, right?
So it's got bad brake authority compared to other aircraft, which is good because the center of gravity on these, or the center of lift is basically right there where these wheels are. So you can imagine as you're coming in, if you slam on those brakes, you will nose over. And these brakes aren't powerful enough to do that. So it's kind of designed that way, I guess. And also, it's real short, so that for tail wheels kind of makes it a little bit dangerous. But what kind of saves it is it's got really wide gear.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like landing a Lamborghini. Whenever you get on the ground, it wants to go straight because the gear are so wide.
Yeah.
And
they're definitely stiff.
Yes, it's stiff. It's got 2 spars in the wings, and it's real rigid. So you do feel every bump. This may be an extremely bumpy flight, and you might not like it at all. But that's just how it is.
Yeah.
This thing seals up super tight. All right. So, all right, we go up to 1,700 RPM instead of full power, and the reason for that is the gear. You know, if
Stop for traffic, Bonanza 769. Remember, is crossing runway 26 at Alpha. Stafford.
6. Oh, crossing it. All right, that's good. So I only went up to 1,700 RPM instead of going all the way up to full power, and it's because a Swift will, with the bigger engines, goes over even on
Remember, is clear 826. Stafford.
Damn. That's crazy.
Yeah. So we did that was the run up, and carb heat, mag check, and that was it.
Okay.
So in a 3-point attitude, you lose basically all rudder authority, so I keep that tail up when I'm landing and take off. I get in that 2-point. Stafford traffic, Swift 78204, departing runway 8, Stafford. All right, here we go. So it's the gear, I keep it below 90 and let it come up. And right now I'm getting about 500 feet per minute. So I drop the nose and let it get to 110 or so.
Traffic, Bonanza 769. Remember, it's going to take up runway 12. It's going to be a northeast departure. Stafford.
And then now 110, it gets about 500 feet per minute. So you're better off speeding it up and going, because it will mush at that 80 knots all day, and you really won't climb very well. So we leaned out, cow flap, I'll close it up a little bit, and you can see whenever I got a bunch of power in, it doesn't distribute that heat evenly. But whenever I pull it back a little bit, they all even kind of up. So with it being a constant speed prop, not a very big engine. Up here at this altitude, it takes a long time to roll out and stuff like that, but it really does perform at sea level.
Dang, Carlos Apache traffic, Tiger 505, about 8 miles south to enter west downwind for runway 06.
Pretty good. All right, so here's the movement on my hand.
All right.
And so that's a reference point, and maybe kind of get a little bit of outside view.
Yeah, got it.
What it's doing.
Okay. High roll rate.
Yeah.
And so when you fly it, how you usually fly it? When you're just flying straight and level, show us kind of how your finger, you just kind of with your thumb and your finger just
straight and levels like that.
That's all of it right there. That's all the travel you need, right?
That's it.
Yep. Is it pretty stable as far as for cross countries, or are you having to work hard to
Not really.
keep it straight and level?
I mean, you see me, even in turbulent air, it wants to go straight. And but also, if you put in 10 degrees of bank, it'll keep that 10 degrees of bank. It's inherently stable.
That's good.
But it doesn't want to go back to neutral either. So it's a very well designed aircraft.
So there's not a lot of dehedral in the wing then, huh?
That's right. But there's some, and you can tell there's a lot of dehedral in that tail.
Tail, yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's see.
P5 Zulu. Wind 080 at 08. Peak gusts 19er. Visibility 10.
Looks like runway 8 is it.
All right.
All right. Gonna get it below 100 for those gear.
Okay.
Gear goes first. I kind of get it right on the edge. There's the gear. And then flap speed is below 90.
Wow, those are fast for hydraulic flaps.
But above 80. So, I mean, I got 10 knots to play with.
Damn, that's a tight window.
It is. But it's a very responsive aircraft, so you can do it. And because any slower, you already see my descent rate at 80 here. It's coming down pretty good. And 90 is too fast. So you gotta
be disciplined. Yeah.
And so you felt me speed up a little bit and put the throttle forward. Now I'm up to 90, so it's just constant adjustment. It makes it's really rewarding whenever you do it right. That's it. So tail's still up and it goes good. And then right here is I got like no rudder now. It's all brake.
Okay.
Keeping me. That's it. Flaps come up. RP's back in. Taxi on. And I'm gonna open this up.
Okay.
Little breeze. And yeah. But yeah, not very much flare with this aircraft. I don't know if you can tell, and you kind of drive it on, so that makes for a lower approach, and you just fly it differently, and that's just.
Seems like for a new pilot, it'd be it's a steep learning curve.
That's right, steep learning curve, and you're learning the wrong way to fly, really. Coming in fast. And
so it's a lot harder for somebody that's already used to tail wheels to.
That's right. And I wouldn't say that. I think it's not a trainer.
No.
It's not something you want to learn in.
No.
And okay, so 1,000 RPM, avionics are off. And mixture goes off. That's it.
And that is how you do it.
Yep.
Nice. Well, that was awesome. Thanks for the ride.